when we first went to Toronto, I went to go to school, and the other people in CODCO went to work. And when you mentioned, that was like in 1972, if you even mentioned that you were from Newfoundland, people would fall down laughing in the elevator. It was so ridiculous. You were seen as such a ridiculous person. And we felt such deep shame too, you know what I mean? Because, I remember having a conversation with Greg Malone where Greg said, people think that we come up here and we don't know what we're doing, but I'd like to see them with their city shoes on go down and try to be on a boat out fishing in the Grand Banks, and see how ludicrous they'd look. And it was we were moving, like Joey hauled us, kicking and screaming into the 20th century. And so we were basically moving from the 19th century into the 20th century. And it was a great shock to us, I think, to many of us. And of course, I grew up on the Avalon and in a townie, and nobody from town voted for Confederation anyway, because of course we'd lost. We gave up, and the shame of giving up the right to self-government, that was that was something we carried too. Except when you look at the rest of the world in the 30s, everybody embraced, they gave up the right to self-government. They embraced autocracy. Mr. Hitler, in Italy. I mean, it was a worldwide movement where people said, we can't handle it anymore. Here, you take it. We'll give it to a strong leader. We happened to give it to England, gave our rights back to England. They sent over 6 commissioners. And then people here, I think, in St. John's, wanted to get our independence back first. They didn't necessarily feel like not wanting to join Canada. I'm not sure if maybe they did, because, Come Near at Your Peril, Canadian Wolf was a very popular song when they were confederating. But we wanted to get our independence back first, and then be able to stand on our 2 feet and be able to make a deal that perhaps would be more auspicious, would be better for us than perhaps the deal that we made, because we had no rights at that point. There were 6 commissioners from England who basically ran the country. And it was an interesting thing. And so for many, many years, that especially when I drank, I used to always, we'd solve Newfoundland's problems by getting out of Confederation. Because, of course, for a long time, we had such a massive portion of the protein in the world with the Grand Banks and the fishery, right? It was so tragic when that happened. Like, I remember we were doing CODCO in Halifax, and we just all went into a depression. We couldn't think who we could be without it. But then, there you go, resiliency. Then we're back on our feet and going stronger than ever, and so it's been an interesting. I have personally gone. I always thought we should have joined the Americans because there's so many Newfoundland women married Americans. I almost married an American from Argentia, and my sisters all went out with the Yanks, and my mother loved the Yanks, and they were so generous, and they'd always bring stockings and chocolates and whiskey, and and they were very people found the Canadians cheap, like they didn't bring presents when they came to court, the girls and stuff, and so there was that sense that perhaps Canadian goods were shoddier than the British stuff that we'd had access to, that they were less available than what the Yanks were proffering. And so I sort of thought for a while that we should have joined America. Everything, you don't always get what you want, which is good, because that would be. And so in a way, I'm really happy with the way things turned out. So I was born in 1952. And like I said, I was a townie, so Confederation was discussed with disgust all the time, and Joey and, The fact that everybody in Bonavista Bay voted for him was, there was great contempt. Nobody remembers it anymore, and it's good that we don't. That townies felt, enormous contempt for Bayman, and Bayman felt enormous contempt for townies. We were living, separate lives, and that's over, thanks be to Christ. Confederation was discussed at length, and they were pretty mad about it. They were pretty angry about it, yeah. Because they'd all voted for responsible government. I worked really hard with the progressive conservatives, because in Newfoundland, the progressive conservatives are actually more liberal than the liberals, to get rid of Joey. Because, of course, no matter who you were, when you're in power for 27 years, it's too much. It's way, way, way too much. And so it had become a fiefdom, really. But when he started out, I guess, he saw the future of Newfoundland as being industrial. And he saw that the past had made people suffer so much. In the 30s, like these people, one of the Commission of Government's labor lord, he and his wife would go around to communities, and it's called White Tie and Tails. And in it, she says that Newfoundland women were lazy because they were lying underneath a brin bag. Of course, they were starving to death and couldn't get up. And they would throw candy to the children from their car. And, Joey saw all that, right? And he saw the suffering of people. And I remember, what's her name, O'Day said, after Confederation, when you saw children go up to the rails at the Basilica, every year they would look a little more healthy. So, so he thought that was the way to go. And it all turned, power corrupts. And absolute power corrupts, absolutely. But I remember Agnes O'Day, who ran the Center for Newfoundland Studies, saying that after 49, she would watch the children go to the communion rails at the Basilica. And she would see how much healthier they were. And so he did it because he thought it was the right thing to do. And then he got sick with power. Sorry.